The first strike never came from a fist. It came from the silence, the heavy, breath-tightening silence that fell the moment the Tai Chi billionaire raised his hand and invited the single-dad veteran into the center of the marble courtyard. People whispered as the breeze curled around them, leaves swirling like tiny green sparks. The veteran's posture was calm, but inside his chest a storm raged, memories of battlefields, of controlling his strength, of never wanting to hurt anyone again. But the billionaire smiled with serene confidence, as if he could already feel the rhythm of harmony in the air, as if he knew something no one else did. That subtle meeting of eyes, discipline against peace, scars against gentleness, was the hook that froze the entire crowd. Something unforgettable was about to happen, and everyone could feel it. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, in the kind of moments that heal people silently, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to channel name. It truly helps more stories like this reach the world. Most people only knew Victor Hale as the Tai Chi billionaire, a man who built wellness resorts around the world, who spoke about inner peace while standing on cliff edges above sunrise oceans. But few understood that his calmness was earned, not gifted. He once lived a life of chaos until Tai Chi rebuilt him. And today he stood face to face with a man who also knew chaos intimately, Luke Granger, a single-dad veteran who worked quiet security jobs, never drawing attention, never revealing the depth hidden behind his eyes. Luke had not come here for spectacle. He had come to pick up a small weekend job to help support his daughter. He hated crowds, hated being watched, hated being reminded of what he used to be. But Victor sensed something in him, a stiffness, a heaviness, a pain tightly coiled, so when the billionaire invited him to spar, just for fun, the crowd thought it was a show. They didn't know it was something much deeper. Luke stepped forward slowly, breath steady though his chest tightened with an ache he hid from the world. Tai Chi was gentle, yes. But sparring? Sparring meant memories. The courtyard's polished marble reflected the sky, and the ambient music humming through hidden speakers made the air feel dreamlike. Luke's hands trembled slightly, though no one noticed. Even after years outside the military, his body still remembered the harsh rhythm of combat, the way his muscles responded before his mind wanted them to. He always feared losing control. He feared being seen as a weapon again. And now dozens of eyes were watching him, waiting for the first move. Victor moved first. Not with a strike, not even with power, just a breath. A slow circular wave of his arm, barely touching the air, like a brushstroke in motion. Luke blinked. He had expected challenge, pressure, testing. Instead, the billionaire offered a movement that didn't provoke violence but invited connection. It was disarming. The crowd leaned in, waiting for impact, but the two men simply mirrored calmness for a moment, standing in a strange balance of tension and peace. For Luke, it was confusing. His training taught him to read attacks, anticipate danger. But Victor's flow gave him nothing to fear, nothing to counter. Only stillness. And that stillness rattled him more than aggression ever could. Yet as Victor continued, circling gracefully, Luke's instincts awakened, not the violent ones, but the ones he had forgotten: precision, breath control, subtle strength. He followed without realizing it, adjusting his steps, grounding his feet, scanning the movement like tracing wind currents. The courtyard seemed to shrink around them, the world pausing to watch two different pasts collide through silent choreography. Victor smiled at Luke's first controlled movement, a small shift of weight that allowed his body to flow. It was the smallest thing, but to Victor, it was the opening of a locked door. Luke's heart pounded. He was aware of every scar under his shirt, every memory on his skin. But something inside him eased for the first time in years. Tai Chi wasn't fighting, it was remembering how to move without anger. His body softened, breath deepening as he found himself complementing Victor's motions. Instead of resisting, he followed. Instead of bracing for impact, he allowed harmony to pulse between them. The people watching gasped, not because of speed or impact, but because of what was unfolding in front of them. Two powerful men, one shaped by war, one shaped by peace, were meeting in the center of motion that looked almost like healing. This was supposed to be a show. But it became something else. Something that even Luke couldn't quite understand. Victor stepped closer, guiding Luke's arm through a circular push. Luke's reflexes kicked in, redirecting gently. Not forceful, not defensive, just aware. They moved together in a fluid exchange of soft contact, stepping, breathing, spiraling. Victor's serenity met Luke's tension, and slowly, the tension lost. People stared in stunned silence. Some filmed. Some forgot to blink. It was beauty in motion, not in power but in grace. Luke didn't know his eyes had softened until the movement paused and Victor nodded at him, not as a teacher, not as a billionaire, but as someone who had recognized the battles Luke carried. Luke's memories flashed, the nights waking from nightmares, the fear of not being enough for his daughter, the guilt of things he couldn't change. And for the first time, something inside him released. The sparring wasn't about proving strength. It was about finding the part of himself that had closed too tightly for too long. Victor sensed it. Luke didn't speak about it, but Victor knew. His own past had once been heavy too, and he recognized that look, someone who had learned to live with invisible weight. The sparring shifted then. Victor increased the pace slightly, adding sharper turns, tests of balance, controlled pushes. Luke responded instinctively, matching him with quiet skill that shocked the crowd. Some whispered, realizing the veteran was far more trained than anyone expected. His movements were precise, grounded, efficient. There was no showmanship, only control. Victor felt it too, the restrained power, the years of discipline. Luke moved not like a fighter trying to win, but like a protector. Someone who had learned not to strike first. Someone who carried the memory of what it meant to hurt. And then the moment came. Victor pivoted lightly, sweeping energy toward Luke. Luke countered with a soft but steady redirect, guiding Victor's arm away with a spiral of calm strength. The motion was flawless. Effortless. Harmony in its purest form. The crowd erupted, not because someone won, but because they had witnessed something rare. Victor raised Luke's hand toward the audience, acknowledging him with humility. Luke looked down, not used to attention, not used to applause, but his expression carried something new, peace, however brief. After the spar, Victor approached him privately. He didn't offer praise or flattery. Instead, he offered something Luke never expected, a chance to teach veterans Tai Chi at his resort. Not charity. Not pity. A purpose. A way to help others carry the kind of weight he had carried alone. Luke felt his throat tighten. Purpose was something he'd been missing without realizing it. He nodded quietly, and Victor understood that nod held more gratitude than words ever could. Weeks passed, and Luke found himself standing in front of small groups of veterans, guiding them through slow breaths and soft circular movements. The same ones that had helped him rediscover balance. He saw their shoulders ease, their eyes soften, their breaths deepen. He saw men and women who carried their own storms learning to move like water instead of stone. And each time he taught, he felt the invisible weight inside him loosen a little more. One afternoon, while helping an older veteran adjust his stance, Luke looked up and saw Victor watching from a distance. Not with pride. With peace. Victor had not just invited Luke to spar. He had invited him to heal. And Luke, in turn, was helping others heal. That unexpected harmony, the one that stunned the crowd, continued to ripple through countless lives. As Luke wrapped up another class, his daughter ran over, hugging him around the waist. She whispered that he looked happier lately. Luke felt his eyes sting. She was right. For the first time in years, he felt whole. Not because he had fought. But because he had found peace in movement, in teaching, in connection. And he silently thanked Victor for seeing something in him that he had forgotten existed. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that healing can come in unexpected